Hey guys, welcome back to Chris and Retro. First of all, shout out to the Chicago Cubs wild card appearance tomorrow. So it's been a while since they've been in a position where they can actually do well. So I'm pretty excited about that. Longtime Cubs fan. Uh, I wanted to talk tonight about in this show about some of the headlines and the things that we've been seeing prominent in the news lately. And there's been a lot of conversation about Charlie Kirk, but I'm not going to really talk about Charlie Kirk on this show. I'm going to talk about the phenomenon coming outside of Charlie Kirk and some cautionary advice I have and some observations that I have that I would like to share with the Christian community and what I'm seeing and observing from my perspective historically, how things play out with these types of things, and also challenging you on what is Christianity to you. So I hope you enjoy the show, and with that, we'll get started. So I'll start out with a few things. First of all, I'm not a theologian. I'm a convicted felon and from being a massive alcoholic, and I'm a flawed human being with all kinds of stuff that I got to work through. But I've found that a consistent relationship with God, and who is somebody I trust in the quietness of my life, and also I find that when my faith is strong, and when I'm following the pathway and the guidance that I'm supposed to be following, things seem to work out much better than they do when I don't. With the recent Charlie Kirk assassination, there's been all kinds of angles with this. I mean, first of all, on YouTube, you'll find every conspiracy on the sun. I mean, it's insane how many different experts are out there talking about how he was actually shot, and notions about conspiracy beyond the person that has been arrested for it, and just baffling, endless speculation, which I find entirely pointless. The other side has been this. What I think a disgusting display of extreme sides on this thing, where one extreme side that was consistently welcomed by Charlie Kirk on the mic is just spewing joy over the death of this man, which I find odd, because the other side is also praising him up. And I think that if the roles were reversed with somebody that the other side felt was important for the message, the other side would probably be doing the same thing. So I'm finding that a lot of hypocrisy, and it's really pronounced during this season. We found it through the political season. We're finding it through this one. The other thing, I spoke on social media before, and I've been blasted by both sides on it, candidly. I always seem to find myself in the middle of no safe harbor, but I basically, as I speak my mind, and I'm not really swayed by either side. But I find hypocrisy in the what I believe is very similar to the woke environment. I don't agree with the woke stuff where everything's got to get canceled, but I find it interesting that when it's a conservative view, getting everything canceled, then also that's okay, because it's got a higher moral ground than the moral ground that the other side was taking. Now, I'm not saying that I agree with liberal views. I do not. But I also think that both sides are taking things to an extreme measure. I do espouse more to conservative views. I'm just looking at the circumstance, and I'm seeing some things that just really reek of hypocrisy, and I feel like a few things that I want to share with you tonight. First of all, I guess let's level set on the definition of Christianity that I'm going to use, okay? So Christianity is used in a wide range of context. It's used as basically spirituality. I've heard Christianity used strongly associated with the Catholic religion. Christianity is not the Catholic religion. I just want to make that clear. Christianity is a version of that religion's belief system. But religion and Christianity, I believe, are two different things. So from a level set from my context, what I'm going to share in this video is I believe that to be a Christian is to be a born-again Christian. And what I mean by that is that you've asked God, you believe that Jesus died on the cross, he was raised from the dead, you've asked him to be Lord of your life, you accepted him as Savior, and because of that, you're now a Christian, you're now saved. And what that means is that you are not perfect, you are still flawed, but you've accepted the free gift of grace and love from a king that died on a cross, gave his son to die on a cross. That person was raised, and because of that belief system, I believe eternal life is available to you. I've been mocked for that belief. I was mocked in jail for that, actually, which is kind of funny. Here I am in jail next to somebody else, and my belief system in God being raised from the dead, I was mocked by a person that espoused the Muslim religion and actually made up some story about somebody in a cave just to mock, to demonstrate that what his view of the ridiculousness of my belief was. So he made up a different version of that story and shared it in one of the group settings we have, just sort of to mock me and poke me. It didn't bother me. I knew exactly what he was doing, but people believe what they believe, and sometimes they just can't stand what we believe. So that, to me, let's just go baseline, that's Christianity. Now, what I've heard of Charlie Kirk, I didn't know him personally, but he professes the exact same thing. Now, he lived a more pure life, I would say, and by all intents and purposes. I don't think any man's perfect, and I think if you got into his head, he'd probably find he struggled with the very same things that every other man said. So I don't think this man was, incredibly pure or, some standard of ethic that we should all follow, but I do believe his message was strong and quality and something that I espouse to in a lot of ways. But Christianity is basically, to me, somebody that is a flawed human being, not of higher moral standing, but is very broken, just like everybody else around, accepted a free gift from God. And because of that free gift and the acceptance and the willingness to engage in a relationship with God, my exercise, my free will to accept that. And because of that, I am a born-again Christian, and that is what I believe. I'm not better than you or any more moral than you. And in fact, in many ways, I'm probably more depraved than you in so many ways. And actually, that causes me more headaches because it's outside of my belief system. It's outside of the promise I made and the promise that was made to me. And I keep wondering why things go sideways for me, because in this very spiritual core of who I am, I'm a born-again Christian, and I keep pushing the line on a lot of things. It's been the story of my life, and it's consistent today. But I profess all that to you today to say that the authenticity of what Christianity is in this line of conversation, that's what Christianity is. Now, we hear Christianity used around the Catholic Church an awful lot. The Catholic Church is a religion, just like Baptists, Pentecostals, Mormons, Seventh-day Adventists, Muslim. I mean, that's all religion. Your belief around it is religion. The structure around it is religion. But the Christian beliefs are often associated with the Catholic Church. Now, I'm saying all this because also, as we look at the Charlie Kirk phenomenon, it's extraordinary to me how many people are now all of a sudden professing God. Now, why is that? I sit back and pause and go, I know a lot of jailhouse converts. I guess I was one, sort of. I mean, it was just before that, but it was definitely the pressure of jail that made me align with beliefs that had been around me my whole life. But I saw power in that, and I saw strength in that, and I wasn't doing it to get out of any conviction. I just believed it, and I knew that was probably the path that made sense, and it turns out that was correctly true. But when I look at everything else going on right now, I'm just like, man, one thing that, I have a professional position and things like that, but I'm also a bouncer in a bar as an alcoholic. I know that's weird, but it's a way for me to stay sober, because I like, if I'm around people that do the things I did before, then it shows me that's not a life I want. It's how I got sober. It's a way that works for me now. I'm a bouncer in a bar on Friday and Saturday nights. It's a nice Irish bar. We have some problems here and there, but for the most part, no big deal. It's a good vibe, good local people, and there's really not a lot goes on there for the most part. We have some occasional things. But some of the people that go in that bar, I saw the Charlie Kirk vigil being spread all over the social media, and these people are professing their salvation, having been hammered the weekend before. So I found that odd. So that was one thing that stood out to me. The other thing is the amount of musicians and things like that profess all these other things, and all of a sudden they're coming out and making dedicated songs to Charlie Kirk and everything else, and this is all just becoming this big kumbaya fest, like one big church and evangelical movement. Now, many of my Christian brothers and sisters that are actually devout Christians and do believe that I know for sure they believe are also getting caught up in this hoopla. I guess in some ways probably I did too. I looked at it more of a fight with it, what I feel like is the extreme liberals, extreme left that's out there pulling all this crap, and I feel like are doing it behind a mask and doing it in a crowd and doing it cowardly. I never respect that. I don't care what your belief system is. When you pull this garbage and you're whining in a group and you won't stand on your own 2 feet and do it your own, man, I can't stand that. I don't care what you're standing for. And especially if you're going to be picking off people from a crowd just because of something they said. I mean, there's nothing more weak to me other than that than a chomo. But, I see that and it drives me insane. But also it's driving this, what I consider to be something that's making me pause. Now, I guess what it really boils down to is this. Okay, so for Christianity, to me, it's a journey. You're not zero to perfect. You know what I mean? And I don't ever expect to be perfect in this life. And I don't think God expects that of me. He knows I'm a flawed person. I can't do anything really without his calling and his guidance, because I screw it up if I do it on my own. So that's what Christianity is. It's that journey, that pathway. What I'm seeing is a movement. I'm not seeing a journey. I'm seeing a lot of hyped up energy around this Charlie Kirk fella and what he believed and talked about, and the fact that they violated our rights because they shot Charlie Kirk. Now, I think it's horrible what they did to him. I really do. And I really do think the man was honorable, and I think that he stood for the right things. And so for me, I have nothing to say against him. I also think he's being incredibly misrepresented and twisted in terms of what he actually said. If you actually watch his videos, what he said, nothing that's being said about him is true. It's just baffling to me how things can be twisted. It's just honestly shocking to me how depraved you have to be, and or so insistent on your message that you won't even hear the truth of what's being said by the person you hate so much. It just doesn't make any sense to me, but that's what's going on. Well, out of this, what it's caused is not the Christian journey. I believe it's caused a movement. Now, why do I call that out? Well, I'm going to call out the hypocrisy of that, because I think what we'll see over the next few months, or maybe even weeks, is the same thing we've seen in other movements. So we've seen the LGBTQ plus, movement. If I've said that right, I don't know. I mean, there's so many different letters to it. I think it's kind of getting ridiculous at this point. But the alphabet soup movement, where everything's offensive and, whatever. I mean, there's a movement with that, and then all this hypocrisy comes out, and organizations are brought down, and now all of a sudden, everything from the NFL to corporations are pushing back on Pride Month, and all this other stuff going on. There's always the other side of these emotional uprisings. Black Lives Matter is an example. Big uprising, it became large money business. Honestly, a big money business. There's a lot of money out there that was going into it. All of a sudden, corruption started feeding into it. It lost a lot of credibility because the corruption was there. The hypocrisy was pointed out, and the nobility of what it was intended to be was shattered because of all these other things that came out. My concern is the amount of people that are coming out here and claiming their profession of Jesus Christ and their profession of Christianity are really just part of an emotional movement and not actually Christians. And with that, what happens is it's very easily to pick that person off and discredit the entire message. The issue that I have is the message that they're saying is actually truth, and it's a powerful message, and it should be spread. But I think what's happening is they've created such a movement out of emotion. There's no stamina with it. I think that it'll start to falter over time. I'm curious how this looks in a few months. Religion has its holes, and this is taking on a mega church sort of feel, where it's just all emotion and it's all, I feel this now. I'm opposing the other side, and because Charlie Kirk believed this, I'm going to believe this, and I'm going to wear the shirt, and I'm going to go to the movement, and I'm going to do a vigil, and I'm going to do all this other crap. But now all of a sudden, Charlie Kirk's your God, and the person you're supposedly claiming is God, you're not going to church on one Sunday, but you're going to every stinking vigil, and you're wearing the T-shirt. You're on Facebook proclaiming him. You're posting this stuff everywhere. You're just all about God and all about everything. But what are you actually doing in the day around church, around the principles of what the Bible said? And when was the last time you actually picked up the Bible? Or are we just hearing Charlie Kirk quote it? I hope you understand where I'm going with this. I don't have any problem with the fact of what people are talking about. My problem is the hypocrisy that I'm already seeing start to happen. And if you actually want an authentic movement that's a revival in the country, it has to be coming from an authentic place that you actually do study and you actually are part of the kingdom of God, where you actually see that as your purpose and your mission, no matter how flawed you are as a human. Man, people could poke holes in me all the way through. All the way through. I've got so many holes in my game, it's unbelievable. I'm not here because I'm some perfect being. I'm only here because God, who is perfect, decided to keep me alive and around, and I'm not sure exactly what he's doing with me, because I'm telling you, I'm a hot mess half the time. But I know he's real, and my faith is in what he's doing in my life and nothing of what I'm doing in my life. So my profession of him is just simply to point to the person, the God that's kept me out of a mess. But I also am looking at an environment right now where we're getting so emotionally wound up. This movement is nothing more than a movement. When we're buying the T-shirts or watching the videos, every single thing that you see is about this whole event that happened, and speculation and professions of faith out of the woodwork. Stand on your own. If you believe as you are. If you're a flawed human being that still believes, proclaim it. You know what I mean? Own it on your own. One of the big beefs I've had with the extreme left and all this stuff, and we have it here in my town, man, every freaking weekend they're out there with a new sign with some other reason why they're upset about something, and they're marching. I'm like, God, don't you have anything better to do on a Saturday than stand out there and march and stand in the freaking street and wait for your self-gratifying horn beeping? I mean, it makes no sense to me. I'll never co-sign that. But yet, the side that I more lean to, the conservative side, is doing the exact same freaking thing. got to get your t-shirt, got to get your MAGA hat, got to seem like you're part of the squad, or you can't believe anything. Half these people that are standing up here making these huge professions of faith have not been doing it on their own for years. So many are, but most are not. And the only reason they're doing it is because they're with a team now of thousands of people that are doing it as well. So now all of a sudden it's safe. Why aren't you doing it on your own? Why don't you just stand on your own 2 feet? If you believe it, believe it. If you don't, don't. If you're a messed up human being like me and you still believe and wish you were better, and you know that your only value and the only way anything seems to work out is because God actually lives and does live in me, and because of the decisions I made in 2017, I have a permanent place in his kingdom. I profess it just because it's a fact of my life. It's not because I'm trying to get some kind of friggin' gold star and accolade, and I certainly don't want to be part of anybody's squad that I don't trust, and I don't trust a lot of people. So when I look at this whole crew that's going on right now, and all this movement that's happening, it's not really God. I don't see it as a revival. I see it as a club. And I see it as people wrapping around a man, and the man has become the God, and not the God that the man served is God. I hope that makes sense what I just said, but it made sense to me. We're going to find out about hypocrisy, fraud, and counterfeits. We're going to, over the next few months, people are going to try to be the next Charlie Kirk because they like the fame he got. So you're going to have people with selfish ambition, which I'm already seeing all over the place. You'll probably have debate people, like trying to be master debate people in college campuses going forward. I'm sure that'll happen. It probably already is. I think I may have seen one. You're going to have fraudulent stuff come out where people are doing fraudulent fundraising. I'm already seeing that Charlie's wife is being questioned about how fast she moved beyond his death, which I haven't really observed that, but apparently others are seeing it that way. You'll see hypocrisy in those that stand before and claim this devout Christian faith and how they believe in God and all this other stuff, and then 5 seconds later do something else very publicly. For me, it doesn't take 5 seconds. It takes me about 2.5 seconds for me to do something, to screw something up. It's just my human nature, and I don't know if it's part of my journey. I haven't got to a place yet where I have surrendered to that life in a way that's most beneficial for me. I'm just being honest with you guys and being authentic with you. What I believe is true. I mean, I believe for sure that God gave his son to die for sin. I believe specifically he thought of my name when he passed long before I was ever born. I believe he was raised to life again so that I have the option to accept his gift of grace to have eternal life. And I believe that wholeheartedly, and I have done all those things. But it doesn't make me perfect, and it doesn't make me better than anybody else. It just means that's what I believe to be true. And for me, I've seen evidence of it over and over again since 2017. So what do we do with this information? Well, I would like you guys to consider your position on things. Where are you at? What are you claiming? Is it authentic? Are you just doing it to be part of a crowd? Is every single thing you say more of groupthink and herd mentality? Or are you standing on something you actually believe in? Are you willing to stand on your own for it? I guess that's a challenge going forward with everything that we're seeing in the news. By all means, if you feel called to talk to God and have a conversation about this relationship, you should do it, because I'm telling you it's worth it. It's the only thing that saved my life. But if you're being a fraud about it, the worst thing you want to do is put your crosshairs in the middle of the spiritual battle, or put yourself in the crosshairs of a spiritual battle, because it's exactly what we're dealing with right now. My Bible talks about this being a battle of not flesh and blood, but of principalities and powers. We absolutely are in the middle of a spiritual war. Sides are being chosen. If you haven't chosen a side, I know which side you're on. And that's, neither side is going to be easy. But if you're out there claiming these things, I promise you're putting yourself in the middle of a mess. Be careful you're not joining a movement. If you're joining a revival, go for it with everything you've got. But if you're part of a movement to sell t-shirts or to be the next Charlie Kirk, pass. Go on to something else, because this is going to fade quickly. Guys, thanks for tuning in. I'll try to be including more content as time goes on here. Things have kind of settled down here. We got a newborn baby boy. He was born 5 weeks ago, and he's doing well. And got my second book coming out here in about a month. So a lot of extra work going on behind the scenes, but I'll be back in the show and here with more rigor going forward. Guys, between now and the next time we talk, I'm going to do everything I can to stay out of trouble. I hope you do too.